Well, here we are. This is lesson number 4 or episode number 4 of my learning project, which is learning to play the guitar. Um, Interesting week of learning, just in terms of logging hours. Again, I haven't done that, but what is really nice about the guitar, of course, is you just sort of can pick it up and horse around with it for a couple of minutes, for a longer extended period of time. That's not always true in other kinds of contexts. Sometimes there's setup that's required in certain things, and so this is really conducive to that kind of learning, which is one of the reasons why I'm quite enjoying it, because I don't have to dedicate a specific amount of time. I can just sort of do it whenever the mood strikes. Probably the most interesting thing, of course, that happened this week, and I touched upon it in a blog post I wrote, was the fact that I've now actually been given a staff of my own. These folks are high school students with Brant Snyder in Seymour High School. It's in Connecticut anyways. And he just sort of jumped on the bandwagon and said, hey, maybe I could help use my music theory students to help Dean learn to play guitar. So they've set up a website. They've got some YouTube videos. He's having a little bit of an issue right now actually getting these, getting permissions to put them public. I did happen to watch a few. The first thing, and they'd watch my videos, the first thing they said, many of them said, is get a pick. I got a pick. Big difference than playing with your thumb. And so that was, an invaluable tip that they noticed right away. They said, hey, you may want to do that. That was great. They had some other tips along the way that I'm working on, and they shared a few things with me, which was great. Another few people chimed in and told me to get the Guitar Toolkit app, which I did, which is a really nice app because it's got a visual tuner. So I'm not just tuning by ear. I'm actually seeing whether or not it's in tune. It's got a metronome. It's got some chord features as well. So I spent a little money on that app, which I read the reviews. They said that they're all good, very worthwhile apps. So always read the reviews before you download an app, particularly if you're going to spend any money, find out if it's actually worthwhile. In this case, it was. So without further ado, I'm going to play. All right, I'm going to actually play for an extended period of time. In the previous reflections, I've sort of just played a few of the chords that I'm learning. I'm going to kind of string some things together. So bear with me. I also kind of came up with a little bit of an introduction of my own to Heart of Gold, which is the song that I'm learning. So, without further ado, here we go. That was the introduction. Expressions All right, so I play that for you to show you where I'm at. I know it's not good, lots to work on. One of the things that they did, that the students actually told me I needed to work on were chord transitions, and so that's, obviously you can tell, among other things, that's not quite there yet. We'll keep working at it. One of the things I was thinking about, and I hope my students pick this up as well as they're thinking through their learning project, is relating this learning to something else that they've learned. And I wasn't thinking particularly of learning music in particular, but one of the things that I actually found, and you can correct me if I'm wrong with this assumption, but it seemed to me on Saturday when there was no one in the house and they couldn't hear my wretched playing, that I played really loudly And it was actually quite liberating, and I almost felt like I played better when I just sort of, went really hard at it. Now, mistakes are definitely more evident, but at the same time, it did feel like I was actually playing better. And what that reminded me of was when I first started playing golf, I read a book by Jack Nicklaus. And one of the things that he said that he was taught, and I sort of took that up, is instead of learning to control the ball, he was told, try to hit the ball as hard as you can and yet still stay in balance. And then we'll work on how to hit it straight, which I guess, is akin to playing loud. And then we'll worry about being accurate. Now, again, not being someone who knows much more about guitar than what I'm doing, I don't know if that's a fair analogy, but it seemed to resonate with me. So that's my week. Oh, one more story which I'll just share with you, and boy, I hate when videos go longer than 5 minutes and I'm well over, but well, if you're watching this to the end, here's what I'm going to do. If you actually are watching this to the end, let's see, the key word is Taylor. If you write Taylor in the comment field, I will, I don't know, I'll have to send you something as a prize for watching to the end. I don't know what that means. Anyways, never mind. One more story was, my dad was visiting this week, and my dad plays guitar, and so I asked him, how did you learn how to play guitar? And he grew up in a family with 7 siblings. They had one guitar. This is in the 30s and 40s. And he said, well, they basically listened to radio, and they tried to emulate the chords as best. They didn't have a book. They had nothing. They would hear it, and they would try to emulate the chord. And so, what an interesting way to learn how to play guitar, which would seem really challenging. But every member of his family can play the guitar to one degree or the other. So I just thought that was an interesting story of him learning how to play the guitar. And since then, he can play mandolin and bass guitar and a few other strings, which are somewhat different, but obviously lots of similarities as well. So anyways, there's my 8-minute video updating my guitar playing in week number 4.